nothing in this church that belongs to you other than the sin you brought in.
Hey Brian, how you doing? Terrell here, Big Old Bell Media. Nice that I can make it back for this opportunity. I did not want to miss talking to you and get the full presence of but I'm glad I was able to get back. So far, how's everything going so far?
Oh, it's going great, man. It's going great. Movie comes out in a week, excited for everybody to see it. So
Absolutely. I had the opportunity to talk to Casper yesterday. And of course, I always got to ask my favorite question, which is, how you feel about the director, how it's like working with him. And of course, you can already guess he had nothing but nice things to say about you and the amazing work that you did. Now, I got to ask, you was a director for Guns of Redemption. What do you think made you, or what special skill set you have as a director made you the right person to direct this movie?
I mean, I think it's the skill sets are, I've been doing a lot of action lately. I've done one Western prior, so I definitely had the experience of what it takes to make a Western. And I'd worked with a lot of the actors who were in the film before. So I think it's just relationships. I'd worked with the producer before. And so I think that's the skill sets. And then I just love the genre. It's a genre that I enjoy. It's a genre I enjoy. I enjoy, the Western world and living in that genre, because it's such a cool, it's such a cool genre. And the filmmaking side of it involves everything. You've got horses, animals, you've got guns and action. And so it's really probably the challenging genre. I think it's the most challenging genre to make, honestly.
I agree with you. I was definitely about to ask you about that. And 2025, releasing a Western, it seems like such a risk. Because that just doesn't seem like where a lot of audiences are anymore. Definitely not the first on my list to watch, but I mean, I'm always surprised, like especially when you bring a new twist to it, where it's a Western, but it's an alien there or something like that, or they bring something new to the table. What would you say, like, with your direction style, you wanted to bring new to the table for this movie to make it stand out?
I mean, this one, I really wanted to harken back to the spaghetti westerns. I wanted big, wide open spaces, big shots, lots of horse riding. I mean, the horse riding in this one is just, a lot of horse riding, really show the beautifulness of horses and that kind of thing. And I wanted to lean more into kind of the classical Sergio Leone style kind of Western with, with the classic story of that following. And and because you're right there, yeah, I think the younger generations right now, they don't have a lot of exposure to Westerns. It's Taylor Sheridan, and that's about it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
like I caught my 21-year-old, watching Tarantino's Western the other day, and it's like I was like, "You haven't seen that?" He's like, "No, I don't." So I think it's going to be a discovery for the younger generations to be like,
Yeah.
"This is a cool." It's a cool alternative to Space Invaders and superheroes. I mean,
Right.
it's something that's real. I mean, our ancestors really did live that time period, be it for good or bad. I mean, it was a time period that our history went through, and so it's kind of fun to harken back to a time that was real, you know.
You mentioned that too, and like one of the things that drew me to this movie, because I grew up on movies like the westerns like Tombstone, and then The Quick and the Dead, with
Yeah,
Leo, and just Gene Hackman, you know and
yeah.
just thinking about those westerns, like it just like that level of like you're into it, the lead character, whether they be an anti-hero, good or bad, you want to see where this goes. And that's what we get with Casper's character. And I really wanted to see I wanted to see the story dive deeper into his past, and I understand we just didn't have the time to really get into that. There's like hints of it throughout the movie when they talk about the gun. I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna get into this now. We don't got time for that. We got to go ahead and save the girls real quick, and maybe we'll get back to that. Was there like another script or something where there was more of that on the table, just jumping into that, like that story of like the gang that he was with or the group that he was with?
No, I mean, Keith, I think the idea, the whole thing is that like his group, which we show, did some bad things,
Right.
and the group of people he was with, and so, but beyond that, no, Keith didn't really write too much more, and I thought that was interesting because like just like with Unforgiven, we didn't really know Eastwood. We all knew Eastwood was a bad gunslinger in Unforgiven, right? But we didn't really know what, and so I feel like that Pell Rider, same thing. He's a bad gunslinger, but do we really? And so I feel like that mystique of these guys, it's like you kind of know what they've done in the past. Casper, we probably give way more away than they ever did in Unforgiven. We know he's a Confederate soldier. We know he's seeking penance for being a part of the Confederacy for what he did when he's in the war. I mean, those kind of things. But I think keeping that mystique around those characters is true to the genre, and I think that's what makes westerns interesting, is because you don't always get the whole story, so it allows you to think about it. It's like, okay, I think we touch on things like Casper's family was killed, he was part of this elite group, this kind of thing. But then it allows the viewer to kind of think a little more on it and create their own little, you know, mystique about him. And I
Right.
think that's fun. I think that's fun. So
I do like how you do kind of the way it's shot. It like hints of how you think it's gonna end, and then it, without any spoilers, like it definitely took the, I guess, left a mystery on the table, because it definitely, I didn't see what I thought was gonna happen didn't happen, and you kind of played around with that throughout the movie, and I'm like, oh, okay, they got me again, you know what I mean? Like multiple times. I'm like, so like I said, I was talking to Casper yesterday. He was talking about getting into the character, and really getting into the real preacher role of it, and wanting to show the two sides to him, and be you know this route where he wants to be forgiven for his sins and stuff like that, which is why he tries to embrace, um I'm trying to think of his name, the the preacher character,
oh,
played
Sean.
by Austin, yeah, Sean
Yeah.
Austin, in the movie, which does an amazing job. I don't I feel like I just turn a movie on and he's just in it for the most part now. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know he was in this. um let's talk about the relationship you guys had with Shout Studios, because for the most part, from my understanding, Shout Studios is mainly just a distribution company. So how did it come that this was the place chosen to get the movie produced, released by?
So Shout actually commissioned the film.
Oh,
Jamie Thompson approached them. Jamie was one of the producers on Old Henry, which did really well for Shout. It was the Billy the Kid kind of story, Old Henry. I think I think it was in Sundance. So Shout picked that Western up, I believe, from Sundance, um, and it did really, really well for them. And so they went back to Jamie and said, let's do another Western. And this is the other Western that they did. And so they commissioned it from Jamie. And they're extremely supportive. One of the greatest groups I've worked with, as far as, just creativity, and allowing us to be creative and filmmakers, and supporting, they've been very supportive. It's a great group.
yeah, I've seen a lot of, I've seen them like really jump into like the horror genre late, as of late, like dive into that really deep. So like when I started seeing like westerns on the slate, I'm like, when do we start getting into, like, are we really trying to bring this back, or like what? Um, but again, I want to talk about casting for this, how much of the casting, like you said, a lot of these people you already knew. Casper, you guys have been tight for a while. But when we got, was it Kaitlyn and Siena? Were this people you already worked with before? Were they new, or were they handpicked to be on this cast?
They're handpicked. So, yeah, Sienna was, Jeff and Casper are repped by the same agent, Jeff Goldberg. And Jeff came to me and said, "Hey, I've got this great actress. She's really phenomenal. Will you check her out and watch her her reel and stuff?" And so they sent me all the stuff on her, and I checked it out. And he wasn't wrong. She has some great talents. I met with her and talked with her on the phone. Again, just a young rising star. And when she showed up, didn't disappoint. Was super committed, super pro. Always nice to everybody on set. Very Meisner, she was running around barefoot. I was like, "You're gonna like step on something. Put your shoes on." It's like I was like,
all in.
yeah, I was like, "Yeah, man." But she was just like, "No, I'm in the character." And I was like, "All right, well, your character is gonna get, stitches." But she was just super committed, and
Right.
that was refreshing for somebody that's so young, I mean, and so she really put it all out there. And then, Kaitlyn, is just, was brought to me by Jamie. She had been in a show that Jamie did. And initially the script was only actually Kaitlyn's character. We added Siena's character. I added it because I wanted it to, I wanted sisters. I thought it'd be a more powerful story if there was sisters. And so I rewrote the script with the sisters in it. But Kaitlyn was somebody that Jamie brought, and she read for the part and was just phenomenal. And she's a very up and coming actress. She just, she's been doing some other projects that'll be coming out soon. Just a rising star, but she's super serious about her craft. Her parents are super supportive of her, and they're it's just great. This kind of film, you always worry about the supporting cast because there isn't the money to go out there and just cast every single role with stars. Or proven actors, so to say. Sometimes you've got to cast locally. Sometimes you've got to just cast who you can get. And fortunately, in this one, all our supporting cast was just solid. I mean, it was great. So.
Yeah, I don't think I've come across any movie that I've done like an interview for or anything like with you involved in it where anybody was like, "Man, that director was just terrible." You know what I mean? Like I had a worst time ever. Like everybody's had nothing but nice things to say about you, which is definitely something that you want to hear as you go into this business that's already tough as it is. And when you got somebody that's like legitimately trying to help you, it goes a long way. Um, what was the time that it took you to shoot this overall? Like what was the overall time it took you to finish getting this done?
So we prepped for I think 4 or 5 weeks, and then
Okay.
we shot 15 days.
15 days.
Yeah, and ended up that was the initial schedule. We actually ended up shooting 17 because of weather. We got rained out on one day, and then we got shut down on another day because of it's state of emergency. So they straight up shut us down. So we ended up being 17 at the end. But if you really did the math, it'd be 15 full days. And then post-production was about a 4 to 6 month process.
So 2 weeks to shoot it, and then 6 months of editing, which is like I guess the normal movie turnaround time. That's crazy. And at that point, you're probably already on another project, shooting something else while that's getting worked on by a whole another group. That's crazy.
Not on this one. This one I actually edited this film. So,
what?
Yeah.
You
So
edited? You directed it, edited the movie.
I directed it, I edited it, and I scored it. The score is mine as well. So I just this one I really took to heart. It was just one of those I wanted to it was really proving to myself, what I could do.
Yeah. I mean, the I don't know how like individual jobs work in the movie world. Do you get a different check per individual role, like producer, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in the wrong business. Let me get on the editing side. But yeah, like I said, Guns of Redemption definitely brought back, definitely, getting to see Casper, if I got to talk to him over the years, really cool guy, Uncle Rico is what we call him. And we call him, but like I said, he just so diverse in any role. I don't think I was talking to him about the movie Daughter he did. I was just like, I don't think it's any movie I've seen where like you've got some pretty good range when it comes to like just jumping into a character and playing the silent, almost Western style. It just seemed like it just fit for him because I'm used to seeing him like yelling and screaming and shooting in a lot of his roles. So just to see him jump into this, like I think you did a really good job. Like I said, just like giving the direction here for every actor that was involved. The bad guys included is as limited as they were. I feel like they definitely stood out in the movie. The scene where I cannot remember the character's name, but he's talking the black guy that's in the movie, and she was asking him like, "Hey, can you help me out?" And he's like, "Nah, I don't want to get in trouble," you know. And I had asked about this, and I was like, maybe it's just something that I saw, but there was a scene where you see like a slight like opening above the cart, and I'm like, why don't we just call him out the cart? Like nobody's changed or anything in there. And I was like, I don't know if that was intentionally like it left in there or if it wasn't meant to be seen. Where you can, it's clearly big enough for them to get out, or maybe it was just the fear of them just getting shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mixture of if they try to escape, they know they get killed,
Yeah.
kind of thing, and yeah, there is that one little hole that was left you could crawl through, but we kind of left it there because we wanted to shoot through it. That's the main reason. So it wasn't like, we probably should have put something there to cover it up, but
sure nobody's even going to notice. But as far as like the action, was a lot of like stunt doubles required for this, or did everybody kind of just do their own thing?
A lot of the supporting cast were the stunt guys.
Oh,
So they were so in a film like this, it's great to cast that way because then you can do the stunts and get the stunts done well, so they look great. But no, we didn't have a lot of Fahey knew how to ride a horse, Casper knew how to ride, so it was we didn't have to double a lot of people. We doubled Sean in a couple of shots. That was about it because Sean has a bad back, so we had to make sure he was protected. But no, not a lot of double work in this one. Casper's all about taking his falls and the fight.
I see. I see. Yeah, he is down for whatever when it comes to these action movies, man. Like from what I've seen. Brian, I'm gonna wrap it on this, but is there anything you want the people going to go see Guns of Redemption? Because this is getting a theatrical release, which is rare. Like we were just talking earlier in this day age, that to see a Western get that type of movie release on top of of course the digital. Anything you want the people knowing to go see the movie to take away from the movie?
No, I mean, first, it's entertainment, hopefully we entertain you and you enjoy the escape for the 90 minutes and then I think ultimately it's a story of forgiveness and repentance and overcoming adversity, and that's what it's really about. And so I hope people come away from that, with just a little bit more hope in their lives.
And for the people, I know this is not a spoiler, but like any potential for more of these type of Guns of Redemption movies?
I don't know. I'll ask, hopefully Shout. Maybe Tom can answer
Okay.
that. But
I'll start the first
Tom,
chain of emails.
we want a sequel.
Well, thank you, Brian, so much. I really appreciate you for doing this interview with me again. Thank you so much for answering all the questions I had. Great movie, you did a really good job. Definitely gives me more insight now that I know that you had like 25 jobs on the movie. It definitely makes the experience a lot better. But thank you so much for doing an interview with me today.
Hey, thank you for coming back on. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Yeah.